Hello and welcome to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 350. I'm here with Kyle Wagner.
Hey, everybody.
And James Babb.
Hello.
Hey, guys. So today we are without Phil because we had to postpone from yesterday. James, is everything okay with the vehicle?
Well, I've had some vehicle challenges. Yesterday I was in a rental vehicle and some asshole sideswiped the front of the truck. I could not even frickin' believe it.
Wait, what kind of truck were you in?
Ram 2500. Some dude in a little like shitty little white car, like hit the front edge of the bumper so hard it like pulled the bumper almost all the way off of the truck.
Holy shit.
He left some parts of his car in the street and kept going.
He kept going.
Probably didn't have insurance or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was this in PA?
No, in Kentucky.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad we can reconvene today. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Hang on, I got to tell my driving story.
Okay.
So I was at a stop sign, right? I'm like at a shop. It's a shopping center, and I'm at a stop sign waiting to turn left into the line of cars that is like waiting at a light to exit the shopping center. Okay. And I'm just staying at the stop sign because it's a full line. I don't want to block the intersection, So I'm just waiting for the light to turn green so we can all exit. And this woman behind me is honking her horn, and then she literally drives around me, pulls into the middle of the intersection, gets in the line in front of me, and just blocks the intersection until the light turns green, and then we all go out. And I'm like literally right behind her as we pull out. I was like, geez, did you really need to do that? Like to get up, Anyway, people can't drive.
Yeah, I feel like people are getting progressively worse at driving.
Well, and you're not allowed to like fire weapons at them or throw rocks at them or, like somehow force them off the road. Like if you just run them off the road, people think like you're the bad guy.
Kyle, don't you wish we had anarchy so you could do things like that?
In that moment, I did. I let a few curse words fly. I was just like, "What in the hell are you thinking?" You know what I mean?
Like, what if your car had a disintegrator ray in the front, and you could literally press it to disintegrate that vehicle?
I would have definitely, in that moment of rage, I would have definitely disintegrated that. Whatever.
Somebody comes up to a yield sign and comes to a complete stop. They're dead.
God.
I'm sorry. Like just.
At least they hit your rental car, man, right? Like it could have been your car.
It wasn't your own car, yeah. Well, at least it wasn't the fucking the camper.
Yeah, well, anyway, what an adventure, but too much.
Well, you're not hurt or anything, right? It just little body damage on the car.
He was in a Ram 2500.
It's a Ram 2500, like in this little shit car. Like I don't know what kind it was, but well, this is the worst of it. Okay. I had no choice but to actually call the police.
Oh no!
Because
you don't want to be on the hook for it.
The rental car company said I had to. The insurance company said I had to.
Yeah.
I was afraid if I didn't, they're going to hand me a bill for a Ram 2500.
Right.
That's the funniest part of the story. You being like, oh no, the police, like, because you live your whole life trying to avoid any kind of interaction with the police, right? So
right, and I waited as long as I could. I called the insurance company. I had the tow truck arranged. I had somebody come over and make sure that everything was out of the truck that might be of interest to law enforcement, just to make sure everything is, neat and clean. And luckily there were no puppies involved. So
no dogs were injured.
There were no black men in the car.
We all survived the encounter, right? No hobos, black people, puppies, pregnant women were harmed.
It's funny you made it safe for the police to come, and then they took a police report for the rental company. All right.
Well, they filled out a form and gave me a number.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
That's probably your best interaction with police ever.
Well, this guy was armed to the teeth, though. He had his whole chest was like puffed up with like, I guess like armor. And then they're like sticking things to it he might need in a desperate combat situation, and tasers and handcuffs and explosives, and like he was ready for some kind of engagement, that's for sure.
This is a little off topic, but I was watching this show called Abandoned on like the Science Channel last night, and they were like covering Detroit, because they have a lot of abandoned buildings, and they actually had a huge segment on that, like Detroit threat management that libertarians always talk about, the private police, and the guy that runs it, I mean, they're also, they have they wear vests with all kinds of stuff on them, and right now he's got a whole fleet of vehicles, everything's black, right? He's got like H2 Hummers they drive around in. He's got like a speedboat that's all black. And so his new thing is they're rebranding, right? Instead of black with chrome letters, you gotta check this out. They're going all chrome with black letters, right? So chrome is gonna be, everything's gonna be chromed out, and that's gonna be their new branding for the Detroit threat management.
I love it. Yeah, put a little style in your free market policing alternative. Yeah, right.
It was an interesting segment, but then the guy, then he was going off about how Detroit is apartheid, right? How the whites have run Detroit into the ground, and I was like, all right, man, I think I'm turning this off now. But
how about this as an alternative, maybe for a competitor private force, not chrome and black. How about like a brushed metal and black, like a distressed metal look, like something that's more post-apocalyptic, something a little more appropriate for the times.
Yeah, a little
okay.
rusty.
Yeah, I could dig that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
sure.
I think chrome,
I don't know.
I mean, it's not the 50s. What is this?
Well, chrome is very shiny, right? I mean, you don't want to blind the villains as you're doing the policing, but yeah, one segment that was weird, they were talking to the trainer, and she's like, well, then I get them, she gets their arm twisted behind them, and then she's like, then we just hold them like this till police arrive. And I was like, well, how long could that take? You know what I mean? Like, you're holding a guy like in a submission hold, waiting for the police to come put the cuffs on.
I don't think that's a big part of what they do, though. I think their main, what they do is sort of preventative to, and they don't have to actually do that kind of thing a lot.
Yeah. Well, it was definitely an interesting.
I think they do patrols unarmed. At least that's what I remember hearing during an interview. Like the patrols are not armed.
That could be. I mean, they showed some techniques. They're like, look, you hit them in the throat or the different pressure points. If you hit somebody here or you get their eyes, like you can really control a person without a lot of power if you know where to hit them or where to push. So it was an interesting segment, and I just wasn't expecting it at all. Because I'm watching a show about abandoned buildings in Detroit, and it's like, oh, here's a half hour on Detroit threat management randomly. But
did it seem to portray them favorably, or?
Yes, yeah, I would say so. It was it wasn't like making fun of them or anything like that. And they kind of were like, well, Detroit's overburdened, their tax base has eroded, and their police aren't doing the job, and this small business has stepped up to the plate. So it was more of a favorable perspective. It might have been on Vice, actually. I think it was Vice, not Science Channel. That's probably why it was more favorable.
I thought Vice was generally pro regime, but
yeah,
maybe not. I guess they're like pro. It's liberal, right? Vice, so they're kind of like anti-police violence kind of thing.
Yes,
they're leftists.
Yeah,
yeah.
But
anyway,
Babs, would you be into this? Any chance of a spin-off interview show called Dabs with Babs? This has been proposed by Andrew, one of our longtime fans.
Well, we would need a producer, and we would need some badass theme music. I'd say if somebody can come up with the theme music that would be epic enough to go with that, I would definitely do that.
All right, the call is out. Fans, submit your best work, and it might get chosen for the new spinoff called Dabs with Babs.
I mean, that couldn't really hurt my reputation at all, could it?
I don't think so.
People would start thinking, like, I don't want people to associate me with drugs.
Yeah, God forbid. God forbid we tarnish that image.
Yeah.
All right. So I think, well, all three of us live on the East Coast, or at least most of the time. So we've all kind of probably come into contact with this whole gas shortage situation that's going on. So I don't know. I guess this is really just an East Coast thing, right? I don't think people West Coast or Midwest even know about this shit, or maybe they've heard about it. But so yeah, apparently there was a hack on some big pipeline. I forget the name of it, Continental Pipeline or something. Some hack on their systems, and it shut it down for a few days or something. And of course, immediately there was a run on gasoline. And so you've got these fucking retards that are out there. They're filling up grocery bags full of gasoline. They're filling up. I saw one. It was like, what was she filling up?
A laundry basket? Did
Yeah,
you
like
see
a
that one?
laundry. Yeah, it was a laundry.
It had
basket.
holes in it. I was like, this has to be
Come
fake.
on, that's a joke.
It had to be a joke. It had to be a joke. There was no way. I was like, you would figure that out within like 30 seconds of pumping gas. Like gas will just be pouring out the sides of this thing.
No, dude. People are
It had
pretty
giant
dumb.
holes. It wasn't little holes. It was like an obviously like a grate or crate kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's a triumph of government schooling.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
maybe. Yeah. Yeah, some of the funnier ones were just like Tupperware, a guy like using his entire Tupperware collection from his kitchen, filling up little things of Tupperware with gas and all that. And
that's what sucks about gasoline. It's hard to store. Like you can't really like just store, like have an emergency reserve of gasoline very easily. I mean, I guess you have to treat it, rotate your stock, and smells. It's a fire hazard. It's it's difficult.
Yeah, where do you keep gasoline? You'd have to have you don't want to keep it in your shed, right? I mean, that's kind of like against the common standard practice, safety practice, right?
Yeah, people keep like little things of gas.
I mean, little, yeah, but
lawnmower.
not like a fucking like barrel of gasoline.
They probably do now.
I mean, probably, dude. I think you got to have like a special structure to keep that shit. That's if you want to be really into code.
Well, what sucks is we can't. I was looking forward to driving my Cybertruck until like Elon went off. Went nuts. So it's like Cybertruck would be a great way to avoid their stupid pipeline problems with your own like solar and battery array, your own electric vehicle.
Yeah, well, the Tesla owners. Yeah, there were some good memes about Tesla owners. Like that was their time to shine. They're just sort of like laughing at everybody who's struggling with gas. Well,
I saw one where it was like like cyclists.
Oh yeah,
it was like the fucking green guy on a bicycle.
If it hit Maryland, it didn't affect me. I know it hit the Carolinas. I had some friends in Carolina.
Was it a real thing, or was it just everybody hearing it's a thing and therefore making it a thing?
Like, there was something. There was run. Well, it's where there was like a little bit of a thing, and then it was exponentially exacerbated by people's stupidity. It was only really supposed to affect
like a normal day.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was like the article that I was reading was like this will only affect supply to as far as like North Carolina. But we live in Maryland.
We're out.
We live in Maryland. We live in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because everybody in North Carolina is going to go shop in Virginia for gas, and then they're going to run out in Virginia, and those people are going to go to Maryland for gas. So as everybody freaks out, it can spread like panic. As everybody's like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, I mean, it's just panic. But I don't think there was actually like I don't think the actual supply of normal demand was impacted at all by this in Maryland. I think it was just people rushing out. I mean, I had no problem filling up gas around me because like people around me are not watching the news. I guess I think they're just like.
Well, yeah, I don't think it impacted Maryland that much for some reason, but I mean, I went out. I was not out. I didn't quite need gas, but I was going to need gas within the next 2 or 3 days. And this was on like maybe Wednesday when it first started happening, and I did. I went to the gas station. It was late at night. I was like, I'm just gonna fill up now because I don't know if this is gonna actually hit us, and I'm gonna run, not be able to get gas on Saturday or what have you. So I filled up a little bit early. That's all I did. I didn't fill up tanks or anything else. I was just like, I'm just gonna get a full tank now, just in case this comes our way. But it is funny how quickly in an emergency people just revert to like every man for himself. Like women and children first goes out the window, and they're more like George Costanza trying to get out of the apartment fire. Just pushing people to the side to get theirs.
But
Like,
it might be just people doing what you did. Like just in case I'll fill up a little early, right?
yeah,
If like I don't really know how that could affect it, but if everybody got their tank of gas like 3 days earlier than usual, like that might create like an immediate like shortage. I don't know. Yeah,
I'm sure if everyone did it,
Possible.
yeah. I mean, I was going to be filling up within the next 2 days anyway, so it wasn't that
I mean,
big a
how much of
difference.
this is
But
on the media? Like, I mean, I didn't get this news from like WJZ13, but I imagine they were like, gas shortage could be hitting Maryland.
probably.
be scared. Be
Yeah.
scared.
Run out. Get your gas after your vaccine.
Yeah. I said to my friends in our group chat, I was, just a little bit of knowledge. I was like, this is why, you need to have higher prices when there's a shortage to curb the demand, right? It curbs all that. It curbs a lot of that hoarding because
Yep.
people go, well, I don't want to pay $8 a
Yes,
gallon.
dude, good
But
point. This is the
yeah,
exact use case for jacking up the fucking price of gas. Like, make that shit $10 a gallon so these idiots go home.
yeah. I mean, then you're going to really be deciding how bad do I need that gas, and if you really
Yeah.
need it, you'll be willing to pay. But
Are you
if
gonna
you're
fill up
not
a
in,
trash bag with $30 of or $300 of gasoline? Like,
yeah. But
Plus
if you have
prices would
20,
equalize within hours, right? If somebody was charging $10 a gallon for gas and getting away with it, how soon would it be before a gas truck pulled up from somewhere?
yeah,
Like
with $9 an hour. Yeah, exactly.
you just the price. You have to let prices respond to the demand, and it just balances out so quickly. And a lot of people just don't understand that. They're like, oh, they're just taking it. They're profiteering, right? They're taking advantage of a bad situation. But it's
Right.
like, yeah, there's a bad situation, and those higher prices actually curb a lot of that excess demand and keep all these people from flooding, filling up every Tupperware container in their house with, 8 ounces of gasoline at a time. Like at $9 or $10 a gallon, you're not going to see that. People are just going to be like, I don't need it that bad.
Yeah, I'll just walk to McDonald's.
Yeah. So it alleviates the shortage. I mean, that's, the magic of prices. So I tried to explain that just briefly in my group text with my friends who are non-political and know nothing about economics. I think most Austrian-oriented and most libertarians understand how prices work, but the general public has no clue. Right.
I bet you they listen to the whole thing or like, yeah, you're right. Yep. Oh, you're right. Oh, yeah. And then I'm still against price gouging.
Oh yeah, still against price gouging. Right. Damn.
Everything you said is correct, but it just seems wrong, and I'm going to go with my feelings.
Yeah. Well, I've kind of mellowed out in my older age. Just tired of you argue with a person. You can explain something 50 times as logically as you want. You can point to all the evidence in the world, and they're just like, nope, nope. It's like talking to socialists. You guys, I'm sure, have experienced that before.
Well, I'm
It's like,
talking to one right now.
Yeah, you think that?
No,
No, I'm not.
are you an
I'm not
anarchist
vicious.
now? Did we finally settle that one?
No. I'm a classical liberal is my favorite label, but
How
we don't
about
want to. Let's not
how about
rehash the
MinCom?
same old discussion.
How about MinCom? I think MinCom might be the better term.
Oh yeah,
What do you
dude.
think?
MinCom.
Yeah, like a
Minimal
minimum
communism?
amount of communism.
Did you listen to
no
the last
more.
episode, Kyle?
I did not know.
Oh man, you missed.
We
a good
talk
one.
about you a lot, Kyle. We've really missed you, by the way. It's great to
Thank
have
you.
you back.
Thanks. I'm happy to be back. I like the back and forth. Nobody wants to have just a circle where everybody just agrees. Circle jerk, for lack of a better term.
Well, you never find that amongst libertarians anyway. So
Yeah.
So what was I think we're good on the gas shortage. What's the next?
Well, we kind of hinted at this earlier, but didn't take the segue. Yeah, so Bitcoin has been dropping for the past, I guess, about a week now. Currently, what is it at? It's at about 44,423, which actually it's up the last time I looked, which was like 43.
who's stacking sats now? It takes some courage to pile on right now.
Buy the dip. Yeah. So this all happened after Elon Musk, who originally seemed to be very favorable towards Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, came out and said he was basically against Bitcoin now, or at least had some concerns due to the fact that it takes a lot of energy to mine Bitcoin. And he claimed that mainly this was coal energy. And then he immediately, and of course he continues to advocate for Dogecoin.
And carbon credit taxes.
And carbon credit. Yeah, so there's a lot of hypocrisy going on with this guy. Number one, I mean, first of all, it's questionable how much is actually how environmentally friendly the production of electric vehicles is in the first place. What with like the fact that you need to. I mean, how much coal energy are the people that are charging his cars using to do that, as opposed to the people that are mining Bitcoin? What about
Coal
all
and
the
oil? It's
coal and oil? Yeah,
yeah.
coal
I mean,
and
all
oil.
that when you plug in
Natural gas.
Where's that power coming from, right? And is that the equivalent of you filling your gas tank? Are you using the same amount of gasoline to generate that power? I don't know. Somebody should do that. Figure that out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then what about
like the manufacturing of the manufacturing of the batteries themselves, pulling the lithium out of the ground, the recycling process for the lithium batteries, the recharging?
None of us can ever really understand what the costs of these things are, right? That's why we have prices and free markets to try to figure out, like, should you dig a lithium mine? I don't know. I have no way of knowing these things, right? There's obviously an environmental cost, and a benefit and a price, and who's to say besides the one who owns the mine, whatever. But
the problem is in this case, as you pointed out, that we can't determine that because all of this is being just basically decided by the government, right? The government is granting him the ability to get paid to sell carbon tax credits because they claim, oh, you're offsetting X amount of carbon because of your electric batteries based on what our bureaucrats have determined. And so we're going to give you, I think in this year alone, he's gotten $500 million from selling carbon tax credits.
It's just a ripoff. It's a scam. It's a wealth transfer to him, and whatever. I've got a quote here from Max Keiser recently. Do you guys follow Max Keiser?
Yeah, I love that guy. He's crazy, but I love him.
he is one of my favorites. And anyway, he just ripped into Elon so hard. I mean, just destroyed everything he said. But he had this. Here's a quote from him recently. He says, "Bitcoin is designed to do one thing: kill central banks. It's hard coded in the Genesis block. This very reference is designed elegantly to kill central banks. When central banks are killed, global energy usage goes from 16,000 terawatt hours to cut by 3/4. 16,000 terawatt hours used right now on planet Earth gets cut by 3/4 once you kill central banks. No other coin, no fiat, not even gold can do this. So by putting energy and attention into an altcoin, you're delaying the Bitcoin epiphany, the Bitcoin singularity."
I love it.
Is he a true believer or what, man?
He is.
He is.
And he's been there from the start too. I mean, I started following that guy like in my early libertarian days, like when Occupy Wall Street was going on, and he was talking about that shit. Man,
he's 2008.
He's an OG. Yeah,
he's been right.
Well, that was. I mean, for me, it was like 2009 or 10 when I first started listening to him. I mean, I haven't listened to him in a while.
Yeah, he's been posting some of his older videos, which are epic because they're like, just going so hard against the bailouts and the
when he's screaming for like Jamie Dimon in cuffs.
Yeah,
like,
just
Jamie Dimon in cuffs,
calling out Goldman Sachs for all their criminal behavior, and just being like a brutally honest guy who's obviously not part of that camp.
Yeah. He's been consistent.
But and the other thing about the energy usage, let's consider the central bank. Central banks are using a lot of energy, but the central banks are there to keep the empire going, right?
Yes, exactly.
So no central bank, no empire. Okay,
Right.
How much energy are they using to kill people in Yemen?
How much energy are they using to prop up the dollar?
Exactly.
I mean, the dollar is only propped up through military force.
Petrodollar. It's called the petrodollar for a reason.
Right.
Okay. You want to talk about energy consumption and currency? Yeah, this thing called petrodollar really should be part of the equation. If you want to do an apples to apple comparison, what is the energy usage to enforce this petrodollar?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, and like, so he's like, okay, well, I'm working with Dogecoin now. I'm working with the Dogecoin developers.
He's just an idiot, and
then,
he did admit on he's come out as being
on SNL he said it was a scam, right? Or he said
didn't he say he was like autistic or something, Asperger's?
Oh, he's got Asperger's. Yeah. Well, it doesn't make you an idiot, but
doesn't it make you maybe unusually smart in one specific area as one of this possible
that's the thing. That's the thing. I don't know if he's
conditions.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think he's being evil, honestly. I think he knows better. I think he knows the fact that you can't use the thing that makes Bitcoin special, and the thing that makes Bitcoin a worthwhile currency and sound money is the fact that it uses proof of work.
Exactly.
Right?
And it takes
and he knows this. He's not an
that
he's
amazing
not
energy usage. Like what makes Bitcoin is good because it uses that much energy.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like a V8 engine, right? Like sometimes you need power, right? And you're protecting $1 trillion network or formerly $1 trillion network.
Well, you just can't have the ability to just print money. The whole thing is not being able to just print money out of thin air, not being allowed somebody that has like a higher stake. This is just aristocracy. Right. This is
Dogecoin.
If I own like half of the fucking amount of Dogecoin, now I have, the ability. Well, actually, I think Dogecoin is even still proof of work. It's just a shitty fork of Bitcoin. But let's say Ethereum.
I don't think there's any limit to the amount of Dogecoin that'll.
Oh no, yeah. There's no limit.
It's an inflationary currency, and it's. I mean, I love the idea of a joke, fun cryptocurrency. Knock yourself out.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, but this has gone a little too far with his shit.
Whatever. I think it just stinks that he's so smart and so wrong on this. Is it he intentionally wrong, or is he being evil? We certainly know he wants to appease those that hand out the carbon.
Well, that's
tax
subsidies. Exactly. And I was actually just watching a video on that, and they were pointing out that what is probably happening is, so he started taking Bitcoin as payment for Tesla. Someone in the government
actually accepted it. I don't think. Did he?
I thought they did.
I think he sold a few cars. I mean, who would give Bitcoin for a fucking Tesla though? Like, let me give you something that's appreciating at like 10% a month at the time for something that's going to depreciate,
rapidly depreciating vehicle you can
buy. Exactly. Like that'd be stupid. I mean, I guess unless you immediately, converted your fiat to that. But anyways, so he stopped taking Bitcoin for his payment. And what probably happened is they, someone in the government, whatever, came up and said, look, you can't be taking, we don't have the proper regulation in place for you to be taking this money. If you continue to do it, we're going to take away them carbon credits from you. So,
or the NASA mission, or the whatever. Like he's got his finger in so many pies. Right. Let's talk about energy usage to go to space.
Yeah, and how would he? Yeah, exactly.
Come on, man.
Dude, I saw a meme of that. It was like a picture of his tweet, and then a picture of his fucking rockets and all the exhaust and fucking burning rocket fuel coming out the bottom of them. And you're like, really, dude? Really?
Talking about wasted energy.
Yeah, it's and then look. I mean, you mean to tell me you didn't know about this before you got invested in Bitcoin? You didn't know anything about the energy usage? Come on,
it's possible.
You just figured it out.
Do you think he went in for billions of dollars without a thorough understanding of what Bitcoin is? Maybe. I mean,
yeah, I don't know, dude. I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's just being a piece of shit. I mean, who
Maybe
knows?
he's profiting
But-
off of it. Maybe he shorted it or something.
it could
I
be
mean,
that too. I mean,
if he's
whatever.
able to
I mean,
swing it so violently with his words, and that's what some of the Bitcoin critics have said. They're like, hey, if this one guy can really like tank the currency, then it's probably not quite ready for prime time yet.
well, we
That's
knew
the
the
thing,
price. Oh, come on, price is volatile. Everybody knows that, right?
Yeah.
Or it's too volatile. That's not
well,
ready
here's
for
the
prime
thing
time.
too.
What?
I don't think he actually tanked the price. So that same video I was watching laid out the case that right before the tanking of the price, the Fed came out and made it sound like they were going to jack up interest rates. So when they jack up interest rates, people get out of investments, right? They get out of investments. They flee to cash. So at least the case that's being made is that this happened, and so you saw the stock market dropped like by 100-something points yesterday. It had been kind of declining, and also Bitcoin dropped. And so
they often are correlated.
That may have been, and so it's correlated. Although some people say like, oh, Bitcoin's a hedge against the stock market, which I've never bought that argument.
It hasn't played out that way, at least.
No, I mean that's
noticeably.
look, it's completely different assets, but still, it's like if people will get out of investments to go to cash if they know that their interest rates are going to go up. It didn't happen, of course, because if the Fed were to raise interest rates, it would just completely fuck up their whole scam. So that didn't happen, but the fear of it caused people to pull out of the market, pull out of Bitcoin, and that's a lot of what we're seeing here.
This guy,
maybe let's look for an opportunity for people. Maybe it's somebody's manipulating it, pushing it down, ready to jump in and buy a few more billion for their corporation next.
Yeah, Facebook commenter Justico says bond yields are murdering the markets. He said, yeah, bond yields are. So I guess if bond yields are going up, people, let's see, bond yield. I don't know. I'm confused. But yeah, maybe they are fleeing.
Well, because people will go from stocks into bonds because bonds are more.
But
secure.
I thought the price of bonds goes contrary to the yields. Maybe that's not right. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I don't know. But if you're saying people are going to bonds, then yeah, they're going out of stocks.
You would think that the price of bonds would go with the yield because it's
if they're raising interest rates, does that interest rate apply to the bonds? I don't know. This is getting a little
confusing.
bit
Just stack sats, just stack satoshis, and don't even worry about it. Okay.
Nobody's listening for a bond lesson to this.
Yeah, listen, we don't give financial advice besides stack sats. Okay.
Yeah. This is a comedy show. Also, stack sats.
So
please.
if you really need to
buy the dip, bitch,
get some Doge. If that really floats your boat.
I mean, buy whatever you want to buy. I don't give a shit. I just fuck Elon Musk. That's all.
Well, the other thing about the energy usage that isn't really talked about is the type of energy that favors Bitcoin mining, right? Like energy, we have this energy production thing right now, and it's geared towards these centralized plants and things like that, big production. But it also, has all of these large transmission costs associated. You put, a coal burning plant somewhere, you have to transmit that power somewhere else. There's solar in the desert, but people live in the valley, or, there's wind up in the mountain. But, so there's all kinds of energy in places where it's uneconomical because of the transmission cost.
Right.
There's new and totally new possibilities for smaller scale, decentralized, favoring renewables to have your own solar spread deep in the wilderness, generating Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin, contributing to the Bitcoin network, right? But completely renewable, or other sources.
Which that value can be turned into other shit.
Yeah, methane flaring, right? You've seen it. Oil wells, the methane flaring. There's a company that Max and Stacy always talk about that they install Bitcoin mining equipment that takes that gas is just being burning and polluting. And when they release that gas, even when they flare it, that's still releasing a lot of methane into the atmosphere, which is a really bad greenhouse gas compared to carbon dioxide. Right. So burning it and capturing that energy on site, turning it into Bitcoin, no transmission costs required. And due to the erratic nature, sometimes they have it, sometimes they have this gas, sometimes they don't. It's not enough to put a pipeline in. It's not enough to make a permanent arrangement. So this creates an opportunity to reduce greenhouse gases and capture wasted energy. So this wasted energy component is huge. I mean, how much energy is lost in these transmission in the power grid, going thousands of kilometers, right? And massive amounts of heat is lost. So you really, Elon doesn't know these things. I find that hard to believe, right? Like, really, dude?
I also heard a stat, and I don't know how verifiable it is, but apparently something like 78% of Bitcoin mining is powered through renewable energy. I've seen that tossed around a lot. I mean, I haven't done the fucking deep research on it, but it's possible because I mean, it does incentivize you to find sources of energy that are going to cost you less money, right?
Right. It's going to favor the cheapest energy producers.
Yeah.
And it's creating innovation to generate inexpensive energy, which is exactly what you need to have more energy, more efficiency, you know, a market incentives to develop that in new ways outside of this legacy grid structure, right? Which is being used now. Like, I mean, yeah, it's taken a lot of energy. I'm sure a lot of it's coal and whatever energy you know, but it doesn't mean it's going to be that way forever. And the direction is certainly towards renewables.
Yeah, totally. Well, hopefully, you know, I mean, eventually the price will rebound. I'm a long-term thinker anyways, so I'm not too worried about it. But
well, who knows what the real, you know, where the price will be in Bitcoin. I mean, that's not, you know, who know, it's just not set in stone. The government can't stop Bitcoin, but they can do all kinds of things to tamper with the price. So, you know, and there is a war, you know, on against Bitcoin, and they're going to, who knows what they'll be able to do to screw around with it. So, yeah. But you know, as hodlers, you know, bring it on.
I saw this story, which I didn't get in the topic list, but someone spent $14,145 on 6 strands of Kurt Cobain's hair. So that's a lot of money. And what I wanted
how much money?
$14,000 on 6 strands of Kurt Cobain's hair.
Were there any cells attached that could be cloned?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
Like if there was like some of the root or skin attached, like you might be able to clone him.
Yeah, the world's biggest Nirvana fan. But I'm seeing, and I bring this up because we're talking about Bitcoin, and you know the price of Bitcoin has skyrocketed to like over 60,000. I have a friend that's into baseball cards, and he's making all kinds of money on baseball cards. Baseball cards are through the roof. Housing prices are through the roof. I mean, I'm hearing people, they list their house. They get 4 offers over ask within 2 days. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just seeing a lot of froth in like, you know, collectibles, and a lot of things. Like, I'll see stories just randomly, like this Kurt Cobain hair story. It just seems like maybe some of this new money that the government's been creating over these past few years, through the Trump era and now into the Biden era, and maybe it's starting to really hit. Maybe we're starting to see inflation that I think libertarians have been waiting to see for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in the housing market, for sure. I mean, energy, it's ridiculous right now.
Energy, food, education,
healthcare
for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, people have been complaining about healthcare and education costs for a while, but like I think in housing especially, I'm really seeing it, and I'm hearing about it in like the collectibles market, like this hair thing. You know, it's just, I don't know. People seem to have it seems to be a lot of money sloshing around. So we'll see if it keeps going. That does remind me of an article I saw. The guy was saying like hyperinflation is there's a guy, the Justico says copper is high. Also lumber. I don't know if you guys heard lumber. Yeah, lumber is like out of control right now.
Yeah, so, that's part of the housing problem.
Right.
But when you have all of these different things, that we say, oh, this is up and that's up and this is up. What's the
Was
common
there also a tariff
denominator?
on lumber? Wasn't there also like
I don't know.
Trump was trying to stop China or whatever?
So you put a tariff on lumber.
Maybe I'm just saying, maybe that's just steel. I don't know.
I'm just saying the common denominator is the dollar, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're pricing all this stuff in, and people, they'll always talk about how expensive everything's getting, but they never really look at the measuring stick. They never look at to see if their ruler is the same length as it was yesterday, and
Right.
so maybe the dollar is taking a hit here. It's hard to get an accurate value or comparison of the dollar, because you use it to price everything else. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, the CPI, which is what are they excluding, like rents, and they exclude all kinds of stuff from CPI.
Yeah.
But I would think.
Mute, Babs.
Yeah, you're muted.
When we reach full Bitcoinization, everything will be valued in Bitcoin instead of dollars.
How many Satoshis is this milk?
Yeah, we'll have a more honest measure of to compare different commodities.
Right. And this is something I learned when I first got into libertarianism, is there is no fixed measure. Nothing is fixed. The value of everything, including the currencies, goes up and down. So it's always sort of like being on sand or quick, like it's always wavy. I just, when I first started, I was like,
it's a process to try to get towards the most information, right?
Yeah.
Perfect information would give you perfect pricing. You never get perfect information, but you just work to get closer and closer.
Yeah, I mean, there might be, in this ideal future, there might be increased demand to just hold Bitcoin because something is going on in the world, and it's like, well, I don't want to be buying anything. I just want to be holding my Bitcoin, and then so price of Bitcoin relative to everything would go up. But yeah, I mean, it's not the same as like, well, we're just going to arbitrarily flood the market with more currency, and all of a sudden everything gets completely distorted.
Yeah.
And you have no choice to use other currency because we've made it illegal for you to do so.
I think the strategy is to get as much of this federal outpouring as you can get your hands on and convert it into cryptocurrency and other assets that when if maybe not hyperinflation, but let's just say continued heavy inflation occurs, right? It'll be nice to have other assets.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think I don't want to give like financial advice on the show once again, but like I try to keep as little money in cash as I can. I'll just say that right now. Like I have only enough where like if fucking shit hit the fan, I'd be okay. But everything else is either in crypto or stocks or bonds or gold or
just mix it up.
I'm well divested.
Do you guys follow the Nomad Capitalist? Do you know who he is? Andrew Henderson has a very interesting YouTube channel and a book and a consulting company that has to do with second passports, residencies, offshore banking, setting up businesses in other countries, buying real estate in other countries. And his motto is go where you're treated best. And he helps people buy land in other countries. And, having some land outside the U.S. empire, like that might be a nice part of a diverse portfolio.
Yeah, for sure.
And it can generate revenue too. And unlike if you have a foreign bank account, the IRS expects you to let them know about it every year. Not so with foreign real estate. So it might be a little more stealthy to just start acquiring, maybe that villa in Greece that you'll end up retiring to later, on the overlooking the ocean, start getting in now.
That's interesting.
Maybe not Greece because it's the EU, but somewhere else.
Your currency
somewhere else in
the United States dollar.
Somewhere else in the Mediterranean, maybe, or whatever, Caribbean or whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
So I had a topic I wanted to touch on before we run out of time, which is you mentioned passports. I had an argument with a family member that's very pro-vaccine, and she was saying she believes vaccines should be mandatory. She is actually very angry at people who don't get the vaccine. She feels like they are holding us back, preventing us from eradicating COVID, and also kind of like parasitically taking advantage of people who have gotten the vaccine, not taking advantage of, but benefiting from the people who are getting the vaccine, so that it's eliminating the disease and then they're protected from it without having to get a shot. And so I just, normally on this show I play the role of the statist, but I mean I don't agree with her position. So I was really opposed to it. I was really offended. I'm more in the camp that's like live and let live. If people don't want the vaccine, then they shouldn't have to get the vaccine. If they don't want to wear a mask, they shouldn't have to. But that's just a laissez-faire attitude toward other people in general that sort of goes through my approach to everything, whereas her approach to everything tends to be more controlling of others. And it really can get quite heated very quickly. But I control my temper because it's a family member. But it just made me think about how when people have strong disagreements, push comes to shove very quickly, right? I mean, it comes down to like, well, you're gonna have to make me do this, or turns to violence very quickly. Arguments turn into fists, or even bullets in that case. And I guess
or family feuds.
Family
right?
feuds, I mean, that was my other thing. I'm like, if you really have a disagreement with someone and you just go your separate ways, you just avoid them. It's like, look, we're not going to speak anymore. We don't see eye to eye, and I don't want to be around you. So I guess that would be a drastic measure. But you see that in politics a lot, where you have these irreconcilable differences between people, and we argue it out as best we can and hope it doesn't come to violence like it does in a lot of places. And a lot of times it does, So I don't know. We can't really argue about it because I'm sure you guys don't support vaccine passports, and I don't support it. But it's just very bothersome that you have all the, I'm seeing the trend coming, right? I mean, I think we libertarians need to push back against the required vaccine cards for. I saw a local college, Loyola University. They're requiring vaccine card for students to come back on campus. That sort of thing has to be, argued against and opposed, I think.
Absolutely, or maybe just not go to those schools because they're obviously don't have the best interest of the students at heart. I mean, maybe that's a sign that that's the wrong school. I mean,
well, they would argue they do. They would argue they're trying to, keep COVID out, so they just want vaccinated people.
To be fair, like colleges in particular do require other vaccinations, right? I mean,
maybe to live on campus. Okay, fine, don't live on campus.
Right.
It's really sad. I think though that opinion is pretty common. My own nephew told me that I was selfish and I don't care about anybody else but myself because I'm not getting the vaccine. I mean, my own nephew, like really, like he didn't even cut me any slack,
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I mean, it is really strong, and you're just like, holy,
He couldn't say like, "Oh, I think you're wrong," and I've, and whatever research or that brought him to his conclusion, he could say, "Well, I have this view. It's different than your view, but they're making it political. They're making it a tribal thing."
Well, that's even making it personal, and it is personal.
It's one thing to be like, "Look, here's how I feel. Here's why I'm getting it. Here's why I think you should get it." But if you don't, like, that's your own personal. Right, but that's your own personal.
We've got this weird thing going on where it's like, libertarians, we can identify aggression very easily, and if they were like, oh, you can't walk down the street without a vaccine passport, like, we understand that we'd be against that, but the way they're doing this sort of propaganda campaign, where they're not putting out edicts, but they're literally just brainwashing the hell out of people with total control of social media, total control over mainstream media, and people are just eating it up, right? They're just eating up the fear. And now, so it's like, are these people really consenting after being subjected to this massive propaganda campaign and government schooling and celebrities and donut bribes and I mean, it's just I've never seen a propaganda campaign like this in my lifetime. Like I can't even believe how hard that everyone has come out like pushing this stuff. So
Well, you can't blame it all. You can't. I mean, we can't just say, "Oh, everything you believe is the fault of propaganda." At some point, it's just like, "Hey, they believe what they believe. That's their opinion." And yeah, maybe they drank the Kool-Aid and they believe it. But now we have to deal with them.
But like, I never had these discussions about flu shots, right? Like, people were getting flu shots or not getting flu shots like year after year. Sometimes my mom would ask me, "Hey,
yeah,
you getting a flu shot?" No, I don't get flu shots. Oh, okay, I'm going to get it because, you know what? Okay. Like, nobody cared, right? Like,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I look at this. It's like, you know, yeah, it's you know, it's similar. It's similar in the regard of like, look, you're injecting yourself with something, whether it is benefiting other people or not is besides the point. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. The fact is, you are asking somebody to inject themselves with a substance, and if they don't want to do that, that's well within their sovereign personal rights, and they shouldn't be, they definitely shouldn't be forced to. And
but what about the? We agree they shouldn't be forced to, but what when this propaganda, government funded propaganda teamed up with the corporations, enforced by all their monopolies? It's
that's all the same
like,
thing.
how do you really stand against that effectively, though? It's like,
oh, you can't.
Well, it's not just that.
But I mean, also people have to be able. I mean, I don't know. I'm not like a. I don't believe I'm not 100% determinist here, where everything is determined completely by the environment. I mean, people do have to have people have to make a choice at some point, right? People have to make a choice.
But a lot of people have been making some really bizarre choices,
and that's their,
and it affects all of us. When when these people, their collective weird choices have some like major impacts around the world. So
I get it. I get it's bad, but I don't know what you can do about it. I mean,
we have to counter their propaganda with our propaganda. So here we are, punk rock libertarians.
You have to
like out setting it straight, calling out Elon, right?
Yeah, all 60 people that listen will be unpropagandized.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like,
let me tell you about my second dose experience. Because I did get the vaccine. I was getting a lot of pressure from my family, and I also have
I got it too, by the way.
Yeah, I have a cardiovascular. I don't have good endurance, and I play so many sports, and I just I think the fear of the virus for me was more than the fear of the vaccine. I just do not want any issues with my lungs. So that was a motivating factor for me. But so I got the vaccine at Timonium Fairgrounds, which is where they host like the livestock showing. They've converted the room that they use for livestock into like the COVID center. So you have to stand
COVID livestock.
I have never felt more like a sheep, like going through this line on the floor, following this long line of people as we advanced, 6 feet at a time, and then you pause because you don't want to get. They have markers every 6 feet, and you're not supposed to get closer than that.
To choose like which door.
Did everybody obey the?
Everybody obeyed. I mean, it just was like a cattle herding operation. I don't know.
Why didn't you run away? Why did you participate?
I told you. I mean, for me, it was I seen some images of COVID patients that had lungs, like so much crap in their lungs or permanent damage to their lungs, and I was like, I can't afford that with the level of endurance that I have right now, which is just. Like I'm literally playing hockey like 4 nights a week. I cannot.
How was the veterinary tech who administered the vaccine?
I mean, they were polite. I mean, I can't say there was any real issues there. It's just sort of a, you lift your sleeve, you get a shot, and then you have to go you go sit in an observation area for 15 minutes, and then they let you leave.
Did you have any side effects?
Not too bad. I was
little Bell's palsy. Like
my arm was a little sore, but not as sore as it was.
You started touting the benefits of Microsoft.
Just a hint of sudden death.
Yeah, I did feel this weird inclination to go out and like buy Pfizer stock for some reason. I don't know. I don't know why.
Has the chip been activated yet? Like, how do you know when it's been activated?
No,
I don't know if it's.
My biggest concerns are reproductive system side effects and immune system side effects. I don't know. I just am not. I don't know what this thing is. I sort of took it without
Well,
doing any research.
It'll be neat to see if you're. It'll be neat to find out if you're still fertile.
Yes, it will. So hopefully it's fine. Anyway, but yeah, it was not fun going through the cattle line, feeling like I don't know. I was probably the only one in line feeling that way. I think everybody else was, feeling very good.
I've been to the Division of Motor Vehicles, so
Yeah.
I have like some reference.
What's that book? Where they like administer the drug that makes people happy? Like, is it Brave New World
New
or
World?
something? It's Brave New World. Yeah, I forget what that drug's called, but it's just.
Yeah.
Everybody else there was like, "Yeah, I'm getting my second shot," and I was like, "I feel like such a pushover, man."
Well, are you going to get here the real the truly devoted are getting like multiple vaccines now? You don't just get one. You go get the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard I got to get a booster shot like next year or something. We'll
No, I
see
mean
about
like the
that.
different brand. Like now you go get the Russian one or
Yeah.
like the one that got
You get
banned.
Pfizer, then you got to get
Yeah.
Moderna, and then you get your
Yeah.
Johnson and Johnson.
Right.
That way
And then you get a tattoo for each one.
You got to
right?
go under the
And-
bridge. You got to go under the bridge to get those, though. That's that special one.
Oh man, it's really quite a time we've lived through here.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. That's right. Hey, maybe I was thinking about Anarchy Basement. Maybe Anarchy Basement would open back up again sometime.
You
That'd
think?
be something.
Open it up.
It's up to Matt. It's his basement.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Then we'd have to figure out how to coordinate all that with, well, it wouldn't be that hard to do like remote and the basement.
Yeah.
How about
It'd be
somebody else's
interesting to set up.
basement?
My
What's that?
basement's not really accommodating to podcast. What about yours, Kyle?
Yeah, not really. No.
Yeah, it's not. It's kind of small.
Well,
But
Matt had
anyways.
the setup. He had the
Yeah.
cameras, the lights, the mics, everything, the high table.
Right.
Well, let's
Damn.
ask his wife if he can do it.
Yeah, let me just message Jill. All right. I think we should just take this on over to the after hours. We're about coming up on the old 60-minute mark. Oh, man. Fuck. Do I remember all the stuff I got to promote? Let's see. Patreon.com. That's where you can help out the show. Or go to PRLfans.com and you can help out in other ways. We've got a Bitcoin address on there. So now that Bitcoin's tanking, just send all your Bitcoin on over. You don't want that anymore.
And then go buy more. Send your
Yeah.
Bitcoin, but then immediately replace it with twice as much. That's not financial advice.
Yes. We've also got t-shirts available on libertariancountry.com. If you type in promo code PRL, I think you get 10%. If you type in, I don't know. Yeah. So just type in PRL or PRL podcast and save some money. I think if you order more than $50, you type in PRL2, you can save some more money. Let's see what else. We're also sponsored by Moral Bob and whatever he changed the name of his show to, which I can't remember.
Is it moral still or not?
No, he's still Moral Bob, but I think his show's called like it's Hidden in Plain Sight. That's the name of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good.
And I think that's it. So yeah, until next time, live free.
Or
Or die.
Or else.